I mean, they're a formidable white ball team. Owen Morgan, Trevor Bailey set the ball running with the style of play that you required. They've almost been a pioneer in the way that they have changed the way white ball cricket is played. What impresses me a lot about England is many things, but I think they're becoming a team that know how to peak at the right time. They've just lost in Bangladesh in the T20 series. Great for Bangladesh, but I'm not concerned at all because England going into last year's T20 World Cup, you would think that if you actually looked at the rankings, you'd have thought, well, England have a chance because they're very, very good. But I didn't have them as favourites to win that tournament. But they know how to peak. They know how to play the big game. They know how to play the big stage. The 50 over World Cup this year in India for the men is probably it's Mount Everest. If they go and win in India, on the back of winning in the UK, on the back of winning in Australia in the T20, that is something. Not many teams go and do the double in terms of winning at home and then winning in a country like India, where it's so different and so difficult to do. But I do think they'll give it a real good shot because of the mentality around the team, the skill levels, and as I said, they've got this great mentality, and the hardest mentality in sport is to have the big match temperament of knowing that you look around the dressing room, and I think England can look around the dressing room and they have many players that know exactly how to play the big game. I think England are a team that have a huge amount of kind of players to choose from. Rehan Ahmed makes his debut.
Correct.
Young leg spinner.
Correct.
And I can see what England are trying to do. They're trying to give opportunities to players in these kind of bilateral series. There was no Harry Brook there, no
True.
Ben Stokes,
Ben Stokes, correct.
Johnny Bairstow,
Correct.
No Alex Hales.
Yeah.
So many of the players that possibly would be in the main 11 weren't there. So you could argue that they put up a good fight with the team that they had. They've got a group of players that are always going to be very, very competitive.
Correct.
For England now, it's about World Cups.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to win games to get to the World Cup, and you have to be a team that knows how to win to get to the World Cup. But I have no doubt that this England side know what they're doing. I've never had so much confidence in a group of England players where I watch them, look at them and think they're all about the big stage, they're all about the big moment. If you suddenly gave them a series against India, Australia, I have no question that they'd arrive and play well. That's the kind of mentality that they kind of engulfed, and the culture around the team is very much about winning the big trophies. I think in our time, we used to win lots of bilateral series, and then suddenly arrive at the World Cup and do nothing. I like the opposite. I like this England side that actually might lose the odd bilateral by developing new players. As soon as they get to a World Cup, I have every confidence that they're going to perform. Well, I think they're better. That's the kind of honest answer, is that I think they've got better players now. I think there's more of a mentality shift and a mentality across the whole game that white ball cricket is very important. I'm honest about my year in white ball cricket. White ball cricket was kind of important, but not as important as Test match cricket, whereas I think now it's quite flat. Test cricket to me is still the pinnacle, it's still the best format, and I still think the players believe that as well. But white ball cricket is very, very close. It's very, very close, whereas in our era it was very much Test match cricket was the pinnacle and white ball cricket was, I'm not saying it was a good distance, but it was kind of a second thought in your skill set. I honestly think that England in the last year in Test cricket is becoming quite quickly, and it's only been a year, a team that's trying to change the way Test cricket is played. No team in the history of the game has played the way that England have played in the last year. The Australian side of the 90s, early 2000s played an expansive game. Were great to watch, had great players. But even that great Australian team, and by the way, this England team aren't great yet, but they're on a journey of trying to change the way Test cricket is played. They're trying to make Test cricket more exciting. They're trying to bring in this new audience who are particularly more influenced probably by 2020 cricket, T10 cricket, 100 ball cricket. They're trying to say to those younger kind of new fans, look, watch Test cricket, because what we're going to try and achieve in Test cricket is what you watch in T20 cricket, but we're going to do it we're going to do it for a longer period of time. We're going to try and score it 5 runs and over, if not more. We're going to declare at times that you wouldn't expect. We're going to always go for the win. By doing so, it's probably going to be a game that needs to be reduced in terms of time. I will get shot for this, but I will continuously say that Test match cricket over 5 days in my time was absolutely fantastic. I think the modern world, the modern game, everything about what cricket is now, for Test match cricket to survive with all the leagues around the world, which are so powerful and so loved by the new audience, Test cricket would be silly not to trial 4-day cricket. You know, I really believe that it's a 4-day cricket played the way that England are playing expansively in a league system where you have to go for the wins, draws don't count. I do think it's the way that Test cricket will be played in the next few years.
Yeah.
I think 50-over cricket is just for World Cups. You know, I think there's too many formats, there's too many leagues. You know, we need Test cricket to survive.
Yeah.
T20 leagues are going to be there because they bring in a lot of revenue for the game.
Correct.
I think bilateral 50-over cricket is the one element of the game that I would get rid of.
Okay, so
I think a 50-over bilateral series generally takes two to 3 weeks.
Correct.
I think the skill sets that these players and the pressure that they're under in all these leagues around the world, I think international teams know who their best players are, and these younger players are getting opportunities in all these leagues, so you know that the kind of experience factor is being given to them by playing in these leagues. I don't think you need bilateral 50-over cricket. I actually don't think you need bilateral cricket. I wouldn't have bilateral T20 cricket either. I'd just have the World Cups for the internationals and all around. I would be amazed if Ben Stokes isn't in India in October, November.
He will be in India.
Look, Ben Stokes writes his own script, and I'd be amazed if over the next couple of months, 3 months, a lot will depend on that knee. He's got a dodgy knee.
Yeah.
The Ashes obviously can take a lot out of a player, particularly a captain. I'd be amazed if he doesn't fancy going to India to try and win a World Cup. I mean, it's great to be involved as a mentor to pass on my information, my experiences, my joy for the game. Cricket is a game that I completely love. I want to try and pass on that energy, that love, that enjoyment that I've had over 40 years of playing, watching, now commentating. We need cricket to be a game for everyone. As long as they're playing cricket, I don't care what cricket they play. Because if they play T20 cricket, and that's why England playing the way that they're playing, I'm hoping that the generation that play T20 cricket realise that you can actually play T20 cricket style in Test match cricket. That's pretty much what England have done over the last year.